G'day, my name's Pierre. Today I wish to start the first of hopefully many videos in a series to do with lean living, getting by with very little. The first subject I wish to cover is called freeganism, otherwise known as dumpster diving. This lifestyle originally started in the US. It's essentially a way of life which feeds off a very wasteful society, a very wasteful modern society which we live in. Having worked in the retail section myself, it is amazing the amount of goods, food and generally anything that happens to be in the way that is being outdated or whatever, that is put into bins, trash cans, whichever word you wish to use. This waste is unacceptable. We can take advantage of this. It's a waste that doesn't need to be, essentially. The whole movement of freeganism, dumpster diving, is to mitigate the amount of waste which occurs in our world. In retail, often when there are new products coming in, when things become outdated, they're just routinely thrown in the bin. Few commendable organisations actually donate these to the homeless. The less fortunate, those who actually need these products, these foods, which essentially aren't poisonous. They have gone into a point where the companies which actually produce these foods are no longer willing to cover their full what I'm looking for is top quality. Okay, so the out of code, the dates which are put onto products, like best before dates and stuff, essentially that is all that it is. It's a best before. It doesn't necessarily mean when it's gone past this particular date that it will become some noxious poison to to your system. Now, the first thing when entering this particular type of lifestyle or mindset is purely up here. We associate people going through dustbins, through trash cans, to be the fringe of society, those who are homeless, those who have fallen upon bad times. Not saying that these occurrences don't have, but there is a social stigma which is associated with people who attempt to do this, who are seen doing this. Now, that's the mindset that you actually have to get into. Okay, that you have to overcome this restriction which has been placed upon you. Okay, there's much to be gained by going through dustbins like this. There is many foods which are often excellent quality. Essentially, you want to use your eye and your nose to see what is good, what is not good. So essentially, we're talking about things like the weather. Okay, so if it's a very hot day, there's a short amount of space that you have there. Is that there's a window of opportunity before certain things begin to go bad. Okay, especially when you come to things like meat products. Okay, myself being vegetarian, I don't. It's not something that particularly worries me because it's not something that I get for my consumption. However, I do actually collect these things routinely for my dog and for my chickens, which is a video which I'll actually do for another day. But essentially, these chickens, especially, they're omnivores, so they require, like ourselves, well, some of us, an all-round kind of source of protein and vegetation as well. Okay, there are many other things that can be gotten from bins. You often find them in out the back of, like, say, computer shops, printer shops. There are things routinely thrown out for no reason. When the stock comes in, if there's not enough room in the actual shelving units, there has to be space that has to be made. This is just put off as a loss. Okay, so it's just thrown out. New stuff comes in. You don't have to think about it anymore, okay? It's just the way, the fast-paced society that we live in, the new stuff always has to come in. It's just that the natural cycle of things. It is a niche which can be taken advantage of for those who have little income or little to no income. So the first things in regards to dumpster diving are, the first thing is possibly safety, okay? So you want to make sure that you have all the right equipment. Some people want to make sure they have gloves, proper clothing. Many people I discuss this issue, this lifestyle with in the US often go at night time, so obviously proper lighting in that case, torches, electric lamps, headlamps, whichever things that you actually need. I myself, I'm more of an opportunist. I go during the day, I have a look through certain bins, see if there's anything worth taking. If there is, great. If there isn't, I'm not really going to lose any sleep over it. Anything that I gain out of this particular lifestyle is just something that is always profit, okay? I've known people to set up their own businesses. They sell things on eBay, on Gumtree, Craigslist, whichever particular brand of advertisement that you actually want to is in your country. So there is profit to be made out of this. There is a way of life which is quite fulfilling. It can be at sometimes a little bit addictive. I've seen people bordering on the hoarding side of things, okay, because there is the fact that when there is obviously so much free stuff, people tend to collect a lot of it. We're in you know, it's a general cultural mindset that we have to take, okay? If it's free, we just take it. Just be wary when you're grabbing and taking things, not to go overboard. I generally take what I need, leave whatever I don't, okay? There's obviously an issue of space in the place that you actually live. When taking foods, just use sensible, just basic common sense. If they are meat products, then just either use your nose, feel your sense of touch, just see if it is warm to the touch. If so, feed it to the dog. If your dog lives outside, you know, if he gets the shits, then who cares? He's going to have the craps outside. I've seen dogs go through stuff, you know, like roadkill and bury bones at the back garden and dig them up several months later. They have a lot stronger immune system than us. They are able to cope with slightly what we might consider rancid meats. But essentially, if you're coming across things that you can pretty much work out that are still good, they're still they might have just fallen outside the actual best before date, but you can consider them to be quite safe for human consumption. That's a risk you have to take, okay? I'd say the best thing probably to do in cases like that is to develop relationships, okay? When you're doing this kind of thing, you're going to come across quite a few people, especially myself. I'm doing it during the day. I encounter people, staff members, what have you. I live in Western Australia. People over here, they're quite friendly, so they haven't really got an issue with any of the things I'm actually, especially from taking stuff out of the bin. Occasionally the bins are locked, okay? You don't want to get into a rut sometimes where you're coming across, like, say, a bin that you're actually going into and suddenly it's locked, and it can be quite vexing at times. Be careful not to come across as too aggressive. There is the possibility if a bin is locked for some reason, it's often locked moreover for the case of people throwing things in the bin as opposed to taking it out. No one's really going to have an issue with things taken. I mean, generally, sensible people won't have an issue with you taking stuff out of the bin. It leaves them more room. It's more efficient. People taking stuff out anyway. Just be generally friendly. Approach store managers, staff. Get to know the people around. I myself stick my head in the back of the store, ask them for the key if it's locked. People generally are quite forthcoming if you come with a friendly attitude, okay? You don't want to come across as aggressive because it's not really going to benefit you in any way. this whole movement is to get stuff and to kind of make the most of things. If you're coming across as an aggressive person, it's just going to work against, you're working against the tide there. You need to actually kind of engage with people, tell them what you're doing. If you think, for example, I mean, my general thing is I actually often tell them, which is often the case, although it's sometimes for my consumption as well, that I'm actually foraging, urban foraging for scraps for my chickens. Okay, if you say that, if you have chickens, it's a relief off the minds of anyone responsible for any terms of litigation. Okay, because essentially that's what's, if you think about what the managers, what the people who are actually throwing these things out are worried about, it's not so much you taking the things out, it's the possible ramifications for any illnesses or danger that you put yourself in. Okay, so if you were to get ill, they're always worried that especially with the human consumption issues these days, and that the amount of litigation which various countries seem to be involved in all the time, it's enough to worry some people. Okay, especially in the business world, they don't want to be seen as people who are being irresponsible. Okay, so just bear that in mind when you're discussing with staff members. Also, if you form these relationships, if for example there is a product that is recalled, okay, something that's a noxious poison that's been introduced by accident into a certain line of goods, if you have that relationship to start off with, they're going to warn you about this. If you're coming in contact with these people every day, just keep your ear open when it comes to things like this, and it should make life a bit safer for you. So follow all the normal sensible things that a person would normally do. Just use your brain a bit, okay? When you're doing things like this, it's a means to an end, but we don't want to be going upsetting people, being disrespectful. Tidy up, make sure that you don't leave an absolute mess. Okay, if you're putting stuff left, right, and centre out the bin, don't be leaving stuff all over the place, because it's not fun. Someone else has got to pick that up at the end of the day. So just make sure that whether you're leaning in, some people use grabbers and like little mechanical devices to reach stuff that's at the bottom if you don't really want to jump in there, because sometimes obviously bins being bins, dumpsters, they can be quite filthy at times. So just dress according to what you're doing. Myself, I'm more of an opportunist. I pass the bins when I'm actually walking the dog, have a look in there. If there's anything in there that's of any use, then I take it. If not, don't worry about it. I mean, I have actually been quite fortunate. I'm on a very low income, still looking for work, where I've come across big finds where essentially they'll be throwing out cheeses, as an example. I'm a big fan of cheese, so having found 2 or 3 shopping bags full of cheeses and stuffing them in my freezer is a good thing to have, because it saves me so much money throughout the month. This is money that I can, if I earn, I can actually put towards rent and to other things, basically. The other thing is also, when you're collecting things like this, learn different storage methods. Okay, so we're talking about, you may be coming across excessive amounts of fruit, amounts of vegetables. If you own yourself, if you're looking to buying a dehydrator, for example, this is a device which actually draws off the moisture. I'd probably recommend Excalibur, which is a very good make, which can be bought in, I know there's companies in the US and also in Australia which actually sell this particular model. It's beneficial for various different things. I'm not going to go into them now, but essentially go to the website Dehydrate to store any information you need on dehydrating foods whatsoever. Go to Tammy. Tammy's a kind of dehydrating guru on the internet. You want to use sources like this. We have the internet, which is a giant library for teaching ourselves these things. Learn different methods of pickling. Any storage things like that, freezing. There's certain things you can freeze, certain things you can't. Learn. Just use your Google foo. Just use Google, use the internet. Go in, discover things for yourself. one thing is you'll be learning a lot of things. You'll be learning almost ancient techniques which have somewhat been forgotten in today's world, because we always think of fridge and freezer, and that's basically all we have. Okay, so just go ahead, take this concept on board. If not, go to the next video, which I shall post hopefully sometime soon. Cover different aspects of lean living and living on a tight budget, and just use it. It's information, it's there. Tell people about it. If not this particular video, look at different videos online. There's like millions of them that are around, so just go for it. It's a brave step to take. If you're listening to this, you're possibly a bit of an open-minded thinker, so just go ahead and do your best, and hopefully I shall have some more tips and wisdom when it comes to saving money forthcoming after this video. Okay, thanks very much.